Beware the inflaming factors. Low-grade emotions continually affect our thinking, and they originated from our own impulses. For instance, the desire for pleasing and comforting thoughts. High-grade emotion, however, comes at certain moments, reaches an explosive peak, and is generally sparked by something external, a person who gets under our skin, or particular circumstances. The level of arousal is higher, and our attention is captured completely. The more we think about the emotion, the stronger it gets, which makes us focus even more on it, and so on and so forth. Our minds turn into the emotion, and everything reminds us of our anger or excitement. We become reactive because we are unable to bear the tension this brings. High-grade emotion usually culminates in some rash action with disastrous consequences. In the middle of such an attack, we feel possessed, as if a second limbic self has taken over. It is best to be aware of these factors so that you can stop the mind from tunneling and prevent the releasing action that you will always come to regret. You should also be aware of a high-grade irrationality in others, to either get out of the way or help bring them back to reality. Trigger points from early childhood. In early childhood, we are at our most sensitive and vulnerable. Our relationship, our parents, had a much greater impact on us the further back in time we go. The same could be said for any early powerful experience. These vulnerabilities and wounds remained very deep within our minds. Sometimes we try to repress the memory of these influences if they happen to be negative, great fears, or humiliations. Sometimes, however, they are associated with positive emotions, experiences of love and attention that we continually want to relieve. Later in life, in a personal event will trigger a memory of this positive or negative experience, and with it release powerful chemicals or hormones associated with this memory. Take, for example, a young man who had a distant narcissistic mother. As an infant or a child, he experienced her coldness as abandonment, and to be abandoned must mean he was somehow unworthy of her love. Or similarly, a new sibling on the scene caused his mother to give him much less attention, which he equally experienced as abandonment. Later in life, in a relationship, a woman might hint at disapproval of some trait or action of his, all of which is a part of a healthy relationship. This will hit a trigger point. She's noticing his flaws, which he imagines precedes her abandonment of him. He feels a powerful rush of emotion, a sense of imminent betrayal. He does not see the source of this. It is beyond his control. He overreacts, accuses, withdraws, all of which lead to the very thing he feared, abandonment. His reaction was in some reflection in his mind, not to the reality. This is the height of irrationality. The way to recognize this in yourself and in others is by noticing behavior that is suddenly childish and its intensity seemingly out of character. This could center on any key emotion. It could be fear of losing control, of failure. In this case, we react by withdrawing from situation and the presence of others, like a child curling up into a ball. A sudden illness brought on by the intense fear will conveniently cause us to have to leave the scene. It could be love desperately searching to recreate a close parental or sibling relationship in the present, triggered by someone who vaguely reminds us of the lost paradise. It could be extreme mistrust originating from an authority figure in early childhood who disappointed or betrayed us, generally the father. This often triggers a sudden rebellious attitude. The great danger here is that, in misreading the present and reacting to something in the past, We created conflict, disappointments, and mistrust that only strengthened the wound. In some ways, we are programmed to repeat the early experience in the present. Our only defense is awareness as it is happening. We can recognize a trigger point by experience of emotions that are unusually primal, more uncontrollable than normal. They trigger tears and a deep depression or excessive hope. People under the spell of these emotions will often have a very different tone of voice and body language, as if they were physically reliving a moment from early childhood. In the midst of such an attack, we must struggle to detach ourselves and contemplate the possible source, the wound in early childhood, and the patterns it has locked us into. This deep understanding of ourselves and our vulnerabilities is a key step toward becoming rational. Sudden gains or losses, sudden success or winnings can be very dangerous. Neurologically, chemicals are released in the brain that give it a powerful jolt of arousal and energy, leading to the desire to repeat this experience. It can be the start of any kind of addiction and manic behavior. Also, when gains come quickly, we tend to lose sight of the basic wisdom that true success, to really last, must come through hard work. We acquire a feeling of grandiosity. We become especially resistant to anyone who tries to warn us. They don't understand, we tell ourselves. Because this cannot be sustained, we experience an afterfall, which is all the more people, leading to the depression process cycle. Although gamblers are the most prone to this, it equally applies to the business people during bubbles and to people who gain sudden attention from the public. Unexpected losses or a string of losses unequally create irrational reactions. The solution here is simple. Whenever you experience any unusual gains or losses, that is precisely the time to step back and counterbalance them with some necessary pessimism or optimism. Be actually wary of sudden success and attention. They are not built on anything that lasts, and they have an addictive pull. And the fall is almost always painful. Rising pressure. The people around you generally appear sane and in control of their lives, but put any of them in stressful circumstances with the pressure rising, and you will see a different reality. The cool mask of self-control comes off. They suddenly lash out in anger, reveal a paranoid streak, and become hypersensitive and often petty. Under stress or any threat, the most primitive parts of the brain are aroused and engaged, overwhelming people's reasoning powers. In fact, stress or tension can reveal flaws in people that they have carefully concealed from view. It is often wise to observe people in such moments, precisely as a way to judge their true character. Whenever you notice rising pressure and stress levels in your life, you must watch yourself carefully, monitor any signs of unusual brittleness or sensitivity, sudden suspicions, fears disproportionate to the circumstances. Observe within as much detachment as possible, finding time and space to be alone. You need a perspective. Never imagine that you are someone who can withstand rising stress without emotional language. It is not possible, but through self-awareness and reflection, you can prevent yourself from making decisions you will come to regret. Being in a group does not stimulate independent reasoning, but rather the desire to belong. It is often best to avoid the group setting if possible in order to maintain your reasoning powers, or to enter such moments with the maximum skepticism. Demagogues in politics or the media try to stir a continuous sense of panic, urgency, and outrage. They must keep the emotional level high. Your defense is simple. Consider your reasoning powers, your ability to think for yourself, your most precious possession. Resent any kind of intrusion. upon your independent mind by others. When you feel you are in the presence of a demagogue, become doubly wary and analytical. The irrational simply changes its look and its fashions. Rationality is something to be acquired by individuals. First and foremost is the existence through history and in all cultures of people of high rationality, the types who have made progress possible. Warren Buffett, to name but a few. All of these types share certain qualities: a realistic appraisal of themselves and their weaknesses, a devotion to truth and reality, a tolerant attitude toward people, and the ability to reach goals that they have set. The second factor is that almost all of us at some point in our lives have experienced moments of greater rationality. This often comes with what we shall call the maker's mindset. We have a project to get done, perhaps with a deadline. The only emotion we can afford is excitement and energy. Other emotions simply make it impossible to concentrate. Because we have to get results, we become exceptionally practical. We focus on the work, our mind calm and our ego and not intruding. If people try to interrupt or infect us with their emotions, we resent it. These moments, as fleeting as a few weeks and hours, reveal the rational self that is waiting to come out. It just requires some awareness and some practice. Know yourself thoroughly. The emotional self thrives on ignorance. The moment you are aware of how it operates and dominates you, is the moment it loses its hold on you and can be tamed. Therefore, your first step toward the rational is always inward. You want to catch your emotional self in action. For this purpose, you must reflect on how you operate under stress. What particular weaknesses come out in such moments? The desire to please, to bully, or control, the levels of mistrust. Look at your decisions, especially losses that have been ineffective. Can you see a pattern? Along the line, insecurity that impulse them? Examine your strengths and what makes you different from other people. This will help you to set upon goals and match with your long-term interests and that are aligned with your skills. By knowing and valuing what marks you as different, you will also be able to resist and pull up the group bias and effect.